What is one comeback you have used in life? THT was so smooth. You still grin when you think back on it. Asterisk, there are moments in life that don't seem like anything special at the time. Just another Tuesday. Just another interaction. But sometimes, just sometimes, you get one of those perfect little gems. A moment so sharp, so unexpectedly smooth, that it plays back in your head like a scene from a movie. Not the kind of moment where you say what you wish you had said. No, I mean the kind where you actually say, it lands, flawlessly. This is one of those stories. It happened about 6 or 7 years ago, during a time in my life when I was working a dead-end job at a local office that handled some form of customer service no one really cared about. It was the kind of place where the clock seemed to move backward, where beige walls sucked the soul out of you, and where everyone just looked permanently tired of life. Now, in this office, existed a guy, let's call him Craig. If you've worked in any kind of office setting, you know exactly the type. Loud, cocky, thought he was charming, could always cracked jokes that barely passed for humor, especially the kind that tried to disguise insults as playful teasing. Everyone knew Craig. No one really liked Craig, but he had somehow carved out a place where people just tolerated him like a mouse that kept sneaking into the pantry. You didn't like it, but you learned to work around it. Craig loved an audience, especially if he had someone to mock. And well, unfortunately, I was often that someone. Why? Because I kept to myself. Because I wasn't loud or overly friendly. I showed up, did my job, ate lunch at my desk, and went home. I didn't give him much to work with, and I think that bothered him. People like Craig don't like when you don't feed them attention. So they poke and prod until you either laugh along or snap. He wanted a reaction, and for a while I gave him none, until one day, it was a rainy Thursday, already a rough day from the start. My alarm didn't go off. I spilled coffee on my pants in the car. The client I'd been assigned to that morning was the kind of person who, if left unchecked, would call the manager because the air was to be REATHABLE. By the time I got to the break room for a much-needed refill of caffeine, I was already running on fumes. That's when Craig walked in. I could feel it before he even opened his mouth. He walked like someone who thought the room belonged to him. And sure enough, he didn't even wait 2 full seconds before launching into it. He looked at me, gave one of those exaggerated up and down glances, and said loudly, with that smug little laugh, "Man, you always look like life's been beating the hell out of you." Now, there were 2 other people in the break room. I remember this clearly. One of them gave a little chuckle, unsure if they were supposed to laugh or wince. The other sipped their coffee and avoided eye contact. Normally, I would have ignored it. Pretended not to hear. That was my usual move. Play dead. Let him get bored. But not this day. Not with this mood. Not with this coffee barely warming my hands and the taste of customer complaints still clinging to my throat. So I turned to Craig. Calm. No raised voice. No anger. Just clarity. And I said, "Yeah, I guess that makes one of us. 'Cause life gave up on you a long time ago." Boom. Silence. That kind of silence that fills a room like a fog machine? That's what it felt like. Craig's face dropped, like someone pulled the plug on his ego. He blinked. He blinked again. And for the first time ever, he didn't have a comeback. Not a single word. He just let out this awkward laugh, muttered something about needing to check an email, and walked out. The 2 co-workers looked at me like I had just bench-pressed a truck. I didn't smile. Not yet. But inside, inside, I was grinning, like a cat that just knocked something expensive off the shelf on purpose. From that day on, Craig backed off. He didn't mess with me again. Not because he was afraid, but because he realized I wasn't the easy target he thought I was. And if I'm being honest, It wasn't just about winning a verbal duel, it was about reclaiming something. Power, voice, dignity. That comeback, it wasn't planned. It wasn't even clever in the way some comebacks are. But it was real. And it hit because the truth has a way of cutting deeper than jokes ever could. Now, years later, I still think about that moment. Not every day, not obsessively, but every once in a while, when life's been a bit too much, and I need a reminder that I'm not as small or invisible as people might think. I remember the look on his face. I remember how quiet the room got. And yeah, I grin, because sometimes the best comebacks aren't the ones that go viral or end with applause. Sometimes they're the ones that give you a piece of yourself back. And that stays with you. Moral. The story. People can only push you around if you let them. And sometimes, just sometimes, standing up for yourself sounds like a single sentence that echoes for years. So the next time someone tries to put you down in front of others, breathe, wait, and if the moment is right, make it count.